Hey folks, Levi here once again. Going back to another review. Hope you enjoyed my review of Incredibles 2. That was the sequel to the 2004 film The Incredibles, directed by Forever and written by him too. But that review is on my channel right now. My other review for the first movie is on there too, on my superhero reviews playlist, and my original review of it from about a good couple years ago, probably back in 2017 or 2016, I think it was. But that was on my other channel. But remember, stick to this channel, Levi McNally 983. If you want to watch videos on, continue to see me do reviews and videos, just stick with this channel, guys. Thank you for the 240 subs. Appreciate it. Keep on subscribing and liking, guys, and keep watching my videos. Again, remember, my name is Levi McNally, with the mask profile picture on it. Or just Levi. Just call me that by my name. uh, anyway, guys, what I've been doing here on my channel is a superhero marathon. I've been doing what I call the 2010s era of superhero reviews. These are superhero movies that came out in 2010 decades, uh, starting with 2010 to 2019. And I am on the year 2018. And well, we got about, well, I would say 4 movies to go. Well, after this, it'll just be 3 movies. But recently, I've been reviewing some sequels lately. A little bit. That was Deadpool 2 and Incredibles 2. And this is a sequel that came out too. And this is an MCU movie. This is the 20th film in the MCU and a sequel to the 2015 film Ant-Man, starring Paul Rudd, Evelyn Lilly, I can't say her. Michael Douglas, Michelle Pfeiffer, Lawrence Fishburne. Uh, yeah, and that is, of course, the sequel to Ant Man. Like I said, that is Ant Man and the Wasp. You know, my experience with the first Ant Man movie, though, when that came out, I didn't have any interest in seeing the first movie. I just thought of Ant Man as a joke. I didn't know nothing about the character from the comics. Yes, to be honest, I don't really read comics, and I've never really heard of Ant Man. When Marvel came out with it, I was like, oh, great. This MCU, because they had Avengers Age of Ultron came out that same year, 2015. That's when the first movie came out. Avengers Age of Ultron came out first. Second movie came out, I think, in July. This was July 2, by the way. Anyway, I thought, oh my god, it's going to be so stupid. Marvel's going to go completely downhill with the first movie. Then the movie came out and it was a big hit. I still had no interest in it, but I got caught a glimpse of it on Stars TV back in probably 2017. It had to be either 2016 or 2017, I think, when I saw this film on TV. Because when the sequel came out in 2018, I really enjoyed the first movie. I got it on DVD, really enjoyed it. And when they were announcing about the sequel coming out, I do remember the teasers and the trailers coming out for this movie, and I was like, so I went to go see it. Yeah, I got excited and I did enjoy it. I know people are mixed on this movie. A lot of people don't talk about this movie, but I do think it's underrated. Um, yeah. Well, for one, it's not that long of a movie. It's only 118 minutes long, about 1 hour and 58 minutes long. So that doesn't feel too bad. It's not as long as, and this was after Avengers Infinity War. Yeah. And but for now, we're just focused on the plot of the movie. It does go by the plot of Avengers Infinity War. Well, I'm talking about after those events. Well, I'll get to that. I'll get to that. But it's its own story. So, of course, being a sequel. But it does take events after Captain America, the first Civil War. But anyway, we'll get into the production of the movie. So for Peyton Reed said, it's such a no-brainer that no needs to be female heroes. In the 60s comics, the Janet Van Dyne Wasp was clearly written by all men. It's pretty one-dimensional. She got much more dimensional since then. That's one of those things that I think is going to be really exciting. In June 2015, Ant-Man director Peyton Reed, and this is why I love the sequel, we got to finally see Hope become Wasp. So I remember the trailers and that. We see her, they don't hide away from it. We see her right in the suit, kicking ass, and it's like, yeah, and her as Wasp and her and Paul Rudd, well, Scott Lang, they team as Ant-Man and Wasp. So I was like, yep, team up movie. Finally. He expressed interest in return for a sequel prequel to the film, saying that he had really fallen in love with these characters and felt there's a lot of story to tell with Hank Pym. A month later, Pym actor Michael Douglas said he was not signed for additional films, but will look forward to more of it comes my way, and expressed desire to have his wife Kelsey Jones cast as Janet Van Dyne for a follow-up, who he is married to in real life. Evelyn Lilly, who played the daughter of Pym Van Hope, wanted to see Michelle Pfeiffer in the role. Producer Kevin Feige revealed that the studio had a super cool idea for the next Ant-Man film. Audiences wanted. We would find a place to do it. Reed also mentioned that there have been talks of making a standalone adventures with Hank Pym as Ant-Man. Because, of course, we saw that at the end of the first movie, spoiler alert, there'll be spoilers in this movie, but spoiler alert, the first movie, Hank gives her suit, shows her the Wasp suit. So we knew she was going to become Wasp. So it kind of made sense to go along with that in this movie. But originally, they maybe wanted to do like a standalone adventure film with Hank Pym as Ant Man, including the original opening to Ant Man featuring Jared Mullet, which was cut from the final film. Eric Eisenberg of Cinnabon opining that standalone venture with Pym in the cut singles would be good candidates to revive the Marvel one shots short films. But at the end of July, David Damashkis, I'm sorry if I butchered that name, is very interested in return for a sequel as Kurt. In October 2015, Marvel Studios confirmed the sequel titled Ant-Man and the Wasp, scheduled release for July 6, 2018 release date. Reed was in negotiations to direct the sequel by the end of the month. He also directed the first movie, I believe, and I guess the third film as well. I'll look that up later. But now it's return November, along with Paul Rudd coming back and Lily returning as Scott Lang. Paul Rudd as Scott and Hope Van Dane, of course, coming back. Despite being offered the chance to direct sequels in the past, Reed had never done so out of lack of interest. But I guess he enjoyed doing the first movie so much he wanted to come back for a sequel. So I'm glad he did. But was never excited to work on Ant-Man and the Wasp because there was a lot more story to tell with these characters that have a genuine affection and kind of protective feeling about. He was also able to build the sequel from the ground up, as he joined the first film late in the process following the departure of original writer and director Edgar Wright, and wanted to explore the elements that he had set up in the first film. He first began working on the outline for the sequel, which he thought could be weird, unique, and different. None of these characters has been their origins have been established, so there is no origin here. So we jump right into the story and action of the film. While being the first MCU film to have a female character in the title with the Wasp, Reed called it organic, and she is the first female in the franchise to have a title. Even though here Black Widow didn't get her movie to 2020, I believe, 2021. Yeah, this is definitely better than Black Widow in my opinion. And the second will be Captain Marvel or Brie Larson, but that one happened until 2019. That one come out till 2019 is what I'm saying. Which thought it could be weird, unique. Yeah. Recalled organic and the what's front of line Ant-Man is about damn time. As much about her specific character and arc in that movie. What's absolutely about a large thing is about damn time. Very, very long to fully realize very, very complicated hero in the next movie happens to be a woman. Reed will push to ensure the Wasp received publicity merchandise for the film, and wanted to explore the backstory of Janet as well. He had differences, divine ideas who would portray the character. Reed said the alternate title, Wasp and the Ant-Man, was briefly considered, but was not chosen due to fan expectation given the comics history of the phrase Ant-Man and the Wasp. Adam McKay that month, the writer of Ant-Man, expressed interest in returning to write the film. Douglas confirmed that he was supposed to return as well. Yeah, and that is Peyton Reed, the director of this movie. And yeah, Reed stated in early December that the film may call back to the heist film genre, but that Ant-Man and the Wasp would have an entirely different genre. He hoped to incorporate additional flashback sequences in the film, as well as explore Pym's various identities from the comics and his psychology, physiology. I can't say the damn word right. Psychology. I'll call it that. Reed also said he was excited about exploring and discovering the film version of Ant-Man was. There's a romantic partnership and a heroic partnership. In the comics, a different dynamic was in seeing the rest of the MCU, an actual partnership. Reed mentioned that pre-production will probably start in October 2016, with film scheduled for early 2017. Production writers for the first film, Gabriel Ferrer and Andrew Parr, signed on to write the script along with Rudd and writing staying Ernest January 2016. The next month, McKay said that he would be involved with the film in some captivity. But April, the four writers and Reed had been held up in a room brainstorming the idea, with Reed promising it would have stuff in there you've never seen in a movie before. Reed added that they wanted to stay true to what made. I'm sorry, to made. It's easy potential of seeing the Giant Man version that we saw in Civil War. But you probably know that already. Scott does turn the Giant Man in this film. It's in the trailers as well, I believe. So Reed did not take or receive writing credit for the film. June 2016, Reed said that for inspiration from the comics, he had been looking at early Avengers stuff and the way Nick Spencer stuff now, and was focused on imagines that could be replicated with the film's story beats from the comics. Added there was a chance for Michael Piana, T. Harris, and Muskie to respire the roles as Lewis, Dave, and Kurt from the first one, and they do. Feast said at the San Diego Comic Con, Reed and Rudd were still working on the script. Filming was now expected. Rudd elaborated that they turned in treatment, but it's so primarily We'll see. We'll have an idea what it might look like. We could change a lot. While filming was revealed to be taking place in Atlanta, Georgia, I'm from Georgia, in early October, the script was being completed for the film, waiting approval from Marvel. We later revealed that early draft of the script included a cameo appearance from Captain America during Lewis's flashback scenes. Lane's involvement in the airport battle in Civil War, however, the writers tried to remove the appearance of the film script since the events of war were already referenced frequently in the film. And which I'm glad they needed. We did have a bit of a flashback to with Spider-Man: Homecoming, so we didn't really need it again. I've seen Civil War. I only see flashbacks of it, so I'm glad they didn't go there with it. They do reference it though, which is fine. You talk about it, but that's it. At the start of November 2016, because us Marvel fans, those CNC fans have already seen the Civil War by then, we didn't need to see flashbacks of it. The writing phase of official prep that month, Reed retreated this assignment for addition to the Wasp, designing her look, the way she moves, the power set, and figure out Hope is a hero. Reed was inspired by films like After Hours, Midnight Run, and What's Up Doc, but the look and feel of Ant-Man and the Wasp. But the first film was more of a heist film. Described this as a part action film, part romantic comedy, which, yeah, I would say it is. Yeah, more of an action film. They all have the roadblocks to our heroes getting to where they need to be. They also said the disappointment in the Giant Man introduction happened in Civil War rather than the Ant-Man film. But I know that the appearance provided character development opportunities between Lang, Pym, and Van Dyne, since Pym is very clear in the first movie about how he feels about Stark and how he feels about the Avengers, being very protective of his technology that he has. So Reed thought Pym would be pissed and Van Dyne would feel betrayed, which was reason those for those character dynamics. Reed added that he spent a lot of time talking with the other MCU writers and directors that he and the writers on this film wish to maintain, although I make one of the universe. There's a whole different vibe, tonally. Quantum physics, sovereign Institute for Quantum Information, the California Institute of Technology returned to consult the film, doing the same on the first Ant-Man, explaining the science behind getting extremely small to the filmmakers. Described the realm as a place of possibility, an alternative universe where the laws of physics, forces of nature as we haven't seen them, crystallized, and suggested it should be represented in the film by beautiful colors changing constantly to reflect fan science. In February 2017, he does confirm that he will respire his role as Hank Pym. During the Hollywood premiere regarding Galaxy Volume 2, confirmed that his return as Kurt, disbanded, and a month later, Harris confirmed his return as Dave as well. Marvel was meeting with several actresses for a key role in the sequel. The following month, Randall Park joined the cast as Jimmy Woo. Walton Goggins was cast in Sleuth's role. 2017 Comic Con Parks' casting was confirmed. John Kimiko's roles were revealed to be Ghost and Sonny Birch. The casting of Pfeiffer as Janet and Lawrence Fishburne as Bill Foster. Julia Giro was confirmed to star her role as Maggie from the first movie. Lewis Furley served as a costume designer on the film after doing for Marvel Spider-Man: Homecoming. Worked with to create the superhero suits for the film based on designs from Mandy Park, and the suits were updated from the film's 1960s designs. So the ball suit included practical wings, which were replaced with digital wings for when they are expanded and ready to flight. The Russo brothers, who directed Infinity War and Endgame, which were filming the Ant-Man and the Wasp preparing the film, were in constant discussion with Reed to ensure the story elements would line up between the films. Joe Russo added that Ant-Man and the Wasp would have some plot elements closely with Avengers: Infinity War, more than some of the other parts leading up to the Avengers films. Reed knew Ant-Man and the Wasp would be a fairly standalone movie, but could not know the events of Infinity War. But the biggest connection the film's mid-credit scene. Since the events of Ant-Man and the Wasp occur 48 hours timeline of Infinity War was personally with Reed, there had been discussions of placing little Easter eggs along the way to start the reveal to the audience where the movie takes place in the timeline. Reed also liked the film ends with a closure and a positive note, and then to bang, give the audience a gut punch right after the main credits. Yeah, due to the blip. Yeah, filming began August 1st, 2017 at Pinewood Atlanta Studios in Fayette County, Georgia, under the watchtower Cherry Blue, shooting an area LX65 cameras. Marvel revealed that Bobby Cannavale and Abby Raider Foster would spare the roles from the film. There were discussions about having Michelle Pfeiffer perform the scene first to give Rudd an idea of how she would act. The group decided to let Rudd invent the scene completely himself, for the chamber of Ghost's lair. The production team under production designer Shepard Frankwell wanted to create an environment that was unique to the MCU inside the chamber of lenses to give it circle patterns that serve as a practical purpose for the film's story. They also filmed flashback scenes of Penn and Dan in the 1980s, but Reed decided to cut them as necessary, believing that the plot should focus on the present rather than the past. Filming took place in Metro Atlanta International School, the Midtown and Buckhead districts of Atlanta, Atlanta Motor Speedway in Hampton, Georgia, as well as Emory University. Some of it was filmed in San Francisco and in Savannah, Georgia in late October, and in Hawaii. Production wrapped on November 9, 2017. Lilly said that the characters would go into the quantum realm in the film, and that their success would open a whole new time multiverse to enter into. Part of the Marvel Writers program did not include works including ahead films reshoots. Sorry. Reed also says that the film be shorter than the 2 hours since it will be following the massive epic Infinity War. Because it's an action comedy, it didn't want to overstay its welcome. Yeah. They did add visual effects for de-aging for like Michelle Pfeiffer. Yeah, they use CGI, which is fine. Didn't completely bug me. Visual effects for the film were created by Scalpin, some of the Scanline Effects, Method Studios, and especially ILM, Industrial Light and Magic, who has done, ILM's been doing work on CGI for special effects for movies since Star Wars, just called Star Wars, not A New Hope, from 1977. So, yeah. They worked over 500 shots, including the effects for Ghost, which were shared with other vendors. Third act chase sequence, and the final Ghost fight as Hank and Janet return from the quantum realm. Some of the film was shot with Fraser lens that provides extra depth of the field. So, of course, with an Ant-Man movie, just like the first movie, you had to have special effects in this film as well. And what I loved about the first movie is the special effects. And they also de-aged Douglas as well, and Fishburne, and Lawrence Fishburne. The flashbacks featuring younger Hank Pym were set around the time as the sequences of Ant-Man. Luma worked on the scenes where Ant-Man and the Wasp infiltrate Ghost's hideout, where they had to recreate the entire environment with CGI. They also created the first quantum tunnel sequence where Ghost receives her powers and the flashback missile launch, which had to be replicated exactly how it would appear in Ant-Man. The new version of the quantum realm designed Reed in production. Yeah. So I'm sure there was many shots, but for the music score, Chris Beck did the music score. For the marketing, I do remember there was like a Lexus commercial for a car or something like that. Yeah, I'm sure they had toys out for the movie. I think I do remember they had some toys for Wasp and some posters as well. I think movie theaters have posters for Ant Man and the Wasp, like her using her wings to fly and Ant Man, riding on an ant. Yeah. All right. So let me get into the movie's cast first. You have Paul Rudd coming back as Scott Lang Ant Man, a former petty criminal who acquired the Ant Man suit allows him to shrink and grow in scale while also increasing his strength. Paul Rudd's been in many movies, like Halloween: The Curse of Mike Myers. I think that was his first movie. I could be wrong, but he was in Halloween 6. Yeah, it was the sixth installment. I'm right about that. Yeah, which I do have. And he wasn't Clueless with Alicia Silverstone. We're Hot in America. The 40-year-old version was Steve Carell, Knocked Up, I Love You Man. Yeah, and Ant Man lost Ghostbusters, Afterlife, and Frozen Empire. And of course, he would his first appearance as Ant Man was in the film Ant Man 2015. He was in Captain America: Civil War, this movie, and after that was in Avengers Endgame and Ant Man and the Wasp: Quantumanium, Ant Man 3. But Evelyn Lilly as Hope Van Dyne, the daughter of Hank Pym and Janet Van Dyne, who's handed down a similar suit, the Wasp mentor from her mother. But Evelyn Lilly, she was in, of course, the first movie. and she would come back to do Avengers Endgame as well. Uh, she was a school student next to a locker, Freddy vs. Jason. Oh, she played a police officer in the Liz McGuire movie with Hilary Duff. The Hurt Locker, Real Steel with Hugh Jackman. Of course, she was Wolverine from Marvel. Well, the likes of Avengers Endgame, and she came back as Hope and Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumanium in Avengers Endgame. Michael Piana as Lewis, Link's former cellmate, a member of his ex-con security crew. He was in the movie World Trade Center, Shooter, Observer Report, Tower Heist, Battle of Los Angeles, End of Watch with Jake Gyllenhaal, The Martian, American Hustle, and the first Ant-Man movie. I hate that he didn't come back for the third movie. Since he was in a superhero movie called Secret Headquarters, which I've never seen. And Walter Goggins as Sonny Birch, a low criminal type who wants payments for technology to sell on the black market. Walter Goggins, I think he was in Predators. You know, remember in that movie. Lincoln, Django Unchained, The Hateful Eight, The Next Karate Kid, I remember him in that. Uh, Shanghai Noon, I remember him in that movie too. The Crow Salvation, playing a cop in that. Joyride, but he's uncredited as a cop. G.I. Joe Retaliation, playing a warden in that. Hey John Kamen, Hannah John Kamen as Ava Starr Ghost, a woman with molecular invisibility. She can face through objects. Yeah. I think, let's see. Well, she was in Star Wars Force Awakens, first Star Officer. I don't remember her in that. Ready Player One. Yeah, I remember her in Ready Player One. And apparently she's gonna come back as a character in two MCU movies, more movies that will be one will be coming out this year in 2026. That is Thunderbolts and Avengers Doomsday, which is okay. I guess she's got her powers back in that movie. Anyway, I'm not gonna spoil anything just yet. Sorry. Excuse me. David Demeshki as Kurt, a member of Blaine's ex-con security crew. I do remember him in The Dark Knight when Harvey Dent was gonna question him about the Joker, and Harvey's flipping the coin. And he was also in Gotham and in The Flash as well. I think playing a character called Abracadabra. Yeah, but in Gotham, playing a follower Jerome, trying to wear Jerome's face. Blade Runner 2049, he was in that. And Batman Long Halloween Part One, and I guess Part Two, he voiced Thunderman and Penguin as well. He was in Opener. Uh, he voiced a character called Grin into Batman Doom that came at Gotham. So he's worked with DC and Marvel. Yeah, that first being The Dark Knight. Like I say, if you remember the crazy patient that who Harvey kidnaps and is trying to question about where the Joker's at and is flipping the coin, this before he became Two Face though. Uh, TPT Harris as Dave, a member of the crew. And again, these guys did not come back in the third movie. He was an Identity Thief, Takers, American Gangster, Get Hard, first Ant-Man movie. Judy Greer is Maggie, Lang's ex-wife. Jawbreaker 13 on 30 with Jennifer Lawrence. Jennifer Gardner, sorry. The Carrie remake. Halloween and Halloween Kills. Jurassic World, the first one. Bobby Cannavino as Jim Paxton, a police officer married to Lang's wife. I think I remember him, Paul Blart. Paul Blart, Mall Cop, Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle. The other guys, Annie, Spy. Randall Park as Jimmy Woo, an FBI agent and Lang's parole officer. He was in Aquaman as well, the first Aquaman movie, and Aquaman: The Lost Kingdom. Oh, I remember him in that. Yeah, yeah. There's Stephen Shine as a scientist in that movie. I think I remember him in that. Hmm. Abby Ryder Frost as Cassie, the daughter of Lane. I think she was in movies like, let's see, not just the first Ant-Man movie. She didn't come back with the third one, of course, but A Dog's Journey, I remember her in that. Michelle Pfeiffer as Janet Van Pam's wife, Hope's mother, the original Moss, who's lost in the quantum realm. Now, I should know Michelle Pfeiffer for, can I barely speak right, I'm sorry. Uh, she was Selena Kyle, aka Catwoman, and Batman Returns. Sorry, something was bugging my eye for some reason. And Batman Returns, yeah. So she was in that. So I understood for that for DC. She was, of course, in a movie. She was in quite a bit of movies, like I remember her in Scarface. It says here she was in Grease too. I heard that was like a sequel. Scarface, playing Tony Montana's girlfriend, wife in that movie Lady Hawk, working with Al Pacino, the Fabulous Baker Boys, Frankie Johnny, like I said, Batman Returns, DC. One Fine Day with George Clooney, the Prince of Egypt, voicing Moses' wife in that movie. She worked with Val Kilmer, who also played Batman in Batman Forever. I Am Sam with Sean Penn, What Lies Beneath with Harrison Ford. Thought she was real good in that. This movie, I think, called The Deep End of the Ocean. Okay. Working with like Chip Williams, Harry Cray, the remake, I guess. And of course, she did come back as Janet again in Avengers Endgame and Ant-Man and the Wasp. And she did play the villainous Queen, an evil queen and Maleficent Mistress of Evil. Yeah. I thought she was good in that. Yeah. But Michelle Pfeiffer, oh, she's also worked in a movie. Let's see. I don't know. I'm sorry. But she has done a movie before. I forget what it's called. Let's see. It could have come out in 2000. Just give me a minute here. Sorry. I'll do this real quick. Oh, I Could Never Be Your Woman. Yeah, okay. So she's worked with Paul Rudd. That's funny. So she's worked with him before. Lawrence Fishburne is Bo Foster, an old friend of him, who's assistant on a project called Goliath. He was like movies Boys in the Hood, the Matrix trilogy, the John Wick film series, working with Keanu Reeves, Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors, The Color Purple. I think. Let's see. Was he in Death Wish 2? Yeah, he was. Okay. I already mentioned Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors, Class Action, Deep Cover, Just Cause, Event Horizon, the Matrix movies, Mission Impossible 3. I remember him in that. Fantastic Four: Rise of Silver Surfer. He voiced Silver Surfer, so he's worked with Marvel before. Predators, Man of Steel. He played Perry White, and in Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, so he's worked with DC as well. Yeah, The Mole. I think that was with Clint Eastwood, but he's a good actor. And Passengers with Chris Pratt and Jennifer Lawrence. Yeah, and Michael Douglas as Hank Pym, who's a scientist, shield agent who became the original Ant-Man. That can transfer possible constraints. He was the original Ant-Man. But he's in a lot of movies like Falling Down. Probably my favorite movie of his. That's a great film. One Flew the Cuckoo's Nest. Well, he's a producer only. Okay. Yeah. The Ghost in the Darkness. Black Rain. I remember him in that movie. What was that movie called in the 80s they came out with? Romancing the Stone. And a sequel, Jewel of the Nile, Black Rain, like I mentioned. Wall Street. Flatliners. Falling Down. The Ghost in the Darkness. The Game. The Rainmaker. Perfect Murder. Don't Say a Word. I think he worked with late Brittany Murphy in that movie. Ghost of Girlfriend's Past, playing Uncle Wayne in that movie, along with Matthew McConaughey. And of course, coming back as Hank Pym in Avengers Endgame and Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Stanley co-created, who's the creator of Title Heroes, and Jack Kirby as well. His came in the film as a man whose car is shrunk by accident. but that is the cast of the movie. Who worked on the movie? Once again directed by Peyton Reed, who directed films like Yes, The Breakup, Yes Man, with Jim Carrey. Love that movie, underrated. And the first Ant Man, this movie, and the third film, which came out in 2023, Ant Man the Wasp Quantumanium, Ant Man 3. He worked on some television series like Back to the Future animated series, uh, New Girl, The Mandalorian. He worked on that as well. It has 5 writers. I'm like, well, but that ain't too bad though. Chris Mechanic, who's worked on films like the Lego Batman movie, Spider-Man: Homecoming, Welcome to the Jungle, Spider-Man: Far From Home, Spider-Man: No Way Home, and Spider-Man: Brand New Day, which I keep hearing will be the fourth. So Tom Holland will be coming back. From what I've heard, Eric Summers, he's also worked on those same movies as well. Ghosted, Spider-Man: No Way Home, based on Ant-Man, created by late Stan Lee, Larry Lieber, and Jack Kirby, produced by Kevin Feige, who's been producing these MCU movies, and he's worked on some older films. Some of the older. He started out, from what I heard, like kind of like a guy who would just get coffee. But he's been producing this movie since the first Iron Man. But he worked on films like Volcano, You Got Mail, which are not Marvel movies. But he's been working with Marvel since the very first X Men movie. Didn't work on Blade, but X Men 2000 and Spider Man, Daredevil, X2, Hulk, The Punisher, Spider Man 2. Yeah, and some of the. And he did produce some of the other ones even after Iron Man. There was like Punisher Warzone, Hulk versus Thor and Wolverine, and Thor Tales of Asgard, the Amazing Spider Man. So he's been with Marvel since before they started the MCU. Steven Burchard, uh, cinematographed by Dante Spont, Cinderella 80, Fair Game, Beaches, The Quick and the Dead, which I heard late Gene Hackman stars in that movie. Heat with late Val Kilmer, Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, Pinocchio from 2002. Okay, not the one I was trying to look for. I Saw the Light, edited by Dan Lipney, who's worked on movies like From Hell, Elf, The Silver Space Adventure, The Breakup, the first Iron Man 1 2, doing the editing with that movie, Cowboys and Aliens, first Ant-Man movie, Spider-Man: Homecoming, Spider-Man: Far From Home, Bad Boys for Life, Bad Boys Ride Die, Beverly Hills Cop, Axel Foley, Beverly Hills Cop 4, basically, Greg Wood, who's edited films like Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of Black Pearl, Mouse Hunt, The Crow, additional editor on that movie, We Were Soldiers, The Weatherman, Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End, and I guess Dead Man's Chance. Dead Man's Chest, I'm sorry, Never Back Down, The Road, Rango, The Lone Ranger, Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, and Volume 2, Eternals, and Craven the Hunter. Music by Christopher Beck, who's done music for like Frozen and Frozen 2, The Muppets from 2011, Most Wanted 2014, and Free Guy, Cheaper by the Dozen, Big Fat Liar, Just Married, The Pink Panther starring Steve Martin, The Internship, and Free Guy. And worked on some of the TV shows, one credited for Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I guess the TV series with Sarah Michelle Gellar. Production company is Marvel Studios. It's distributed by Walt Disney Studio Motion Pictures. It was released July 6, 2018. It's 119 minutes long. Like I said, 1 hour and 58 minutes long. The budget of how much it cost to make this movie was estimated to be either 130 or 195 million dollars. Box office made 622.7 million dollars worldwide, so it was a hit. The film was a commercial success. The film was a commercial success, receiving praise for its performances, particularly Rose and Lily, humor, and yeah. But I've heard a bit of mixed things about it from some people. But Paul Rudd and Lily, as their characters, they got praised for the performances. Some guessing critics liked it, but the film did make money, despite either either whatever the budget was, either it was 130 or 195 million dollars to make the movie. The movie still made money, so it still was successful. Surprised it didn't make more money, especially after Avengers: Infinity War. Because again, that movie, I mean, I like Avengers: Infinity War, I like it, but it does become depressing at times with that movie, and this movie does lighten up. So after seeing Avengers: Infinity War, if you were disappointed with the ending, like I was, like some of the characters, spoiler alert, dying from the blip, this movie does retain the humor, and we needed a film like this, especially after Avengers: Infinity War. But anyway, the plot for the movie, the plot synopsis, and I'm going to warn you right now, there are spoilers for this review. So if you've never seen Ant-Man and the Wasp, or the first Ant-Man movie, or even the third movie, well, just this movie in general, if you've never seen Ant-Man and the Wasp, turn this video off right now. Do not spoil it for yourself. So I'm just letting you know right there right now. But the plot synopsis, what the story's about, though, say maybe it takes like maybe a year later, or maybe a couple something weeks later. It could be a year or two later after Captain America: Civil War, when he went to in Germany to help Captain America fight against Iron Man. Scott ended up in jail, got released, and if you watched Infinity War, Scott Lang has been on house arrest for breaking the law and helping Captain America. By Cap and of course Black Widow and Wanda and Vision and Falcon went on the run. Anyway, Scott Lang is grappling with the consequences of his choices as both a superhero and a father. Like I said, after Civil War, and pretty much Janet and her father, Hank Pym, played by Michael Douglas, they're very upset with him for him doing that, taking the suit, and yeah, they're just mad at him for it. But he's approached by Hope and Hank Pym. Lang must once again don the Ant-Man suit and fight alongside with Janet, not Janet, damn it, with Wasp, with Hope. Of course, Hope does become Wasp. She gets her suit in here, as you can see. So they have to team up. They're basically trying to find Hank's wife, because again, if you remember the first movie, he came back from the quantum realm, so Hank is able to test that they can go back in there and get her. You know, their mission soon leads to secret revelations from the past, as the dynamic duo find themselves in an epic battle against a powerful new enemy called Ghost, who she can of course disappear. She's a very hard enemy to fight. She's very tactical and has killed before and has been like done military missions and stuff like that. So this is a hard enemy. Meanwhile, you have Walter Goggins, who plays Sonny Birch, who wants it's kind of like they want his lab because his lab can make money. But Ghost, she wants it so she can fix herself up because she is dying for her abilities. So it's like hot potato, and you know with Hope, and Scott trying to get the lab and trying to bring back and trying to be on. But I meanwhile, by being on the run themselves and trying to get her mom back. So it's like an action comedy of stuff just happening. But it's a very entertaining sequel, and that's the plot for you in a nutshell. So yeah, and a very small scale of a plot. But sorry, stupid pun. But anyway, really bad one. Anyway, that's the plot for the movie. Now I'm gonna talk about the movie itself. Maybe read some quotes. Again, if you've not seen the movie before, please turn off the review. Regardless if you've seen Captain America: Civil War, if you haven't seen this movie, just for your own sake, please don't watch this because I don't want to spoil it for you. And I will mention spoilers in the description box. So before you watch my videos, always watch the description. Always read the description box below. That's why I always write it down in the description box, because I don't want you guys to be like, oh my god, he spoiled the movie for me. So I'm telling you right now, if you've never seen Ant-Man and the Wasp, turn the video off. You've been warned. And that's the last time I say it. So, Ant-Man and the Wasp, let's get started. So the film opens up with a dialogue with Hank talking about Janet, that they had to go on a mission. It was like in 1987 that they had to go on this mission. Millions of people were going to die, so they were urgently had to go work as Ant-Man. They were the original Ant-Man and the Wasp, so they had to go save people. by using their abilities for the suits to help people out. And Janet, has to say goodbye to Hope, but Hope is just a little girl here in 1987, of course. She says goodbye to her. She's like, hey, Jelly Bean, I love you. And she shows a Jelly Bean. She like pretends to just playing. It's like, we gotta go, and they tell her bye, and that's pretty much the last time she sees her mom. And they have the shrimp between the mouthpiece of this nuclear missile that can probably enter the microscope and kill a lot of people, but Hank's suit is not working. So Janet says, tell Hope I love her very much, and she has to push the button, and she is trapped in the quantum realm. Because if in the first movie, if you remember, Hope and Hank's relationship was very strained because Hank wouldn't talk about it, and that's what led to Scott becoming Ant-Man. Because in the first movie, he didn't want her wearing the suit because he was afraid he would lose Hope as well. But they rekindled the relationship in this one. But in the present day, you have Scott Lang who spends time with his daughter Cassie. He was arrested and imprisoned for helping Captain America. That's skirmish between the Avengers. But he takes a plea bargain, returns to the USA, sentenced to 2 years under house arrest. With a 24-hour prison is waiting if he leaves his home during the sentence of devices. So if he leaves, he'll spend another 3 years or something like that on house arrest. So he's got like the bracelet that would tell the police he's playing with his daughter. Of course, they're playing a game of hiding, which was I thought that was funny and cute as well. Him and Lewis is back as well, and saying, "Scott, we need to do this business right. We need to do this right." Just rumbling his mouth off. I was like, "Excuse me, I'm trying to teach my daughter lesson here how to be a thief." In their plan, it was like, "Auntie, which way do we go?" Okay, and then they slide down the house, down the stairs outside. That was pretty fun to watch. And his bracelet comes, hits outside the fence, gets caught nearly. And they said, "Well, my daddy didn't mean to do that." And we're like, "Why are you meaning my daddy for?" Well, it's like this, Cassie. When the cop tells her, Ted tells her, it's like you broke the law, you break the laws, you do something, you suffer consequences for. It's like, well, you know how to cheer up children. And he says goodbye to Cassie because she's leaving with her parents for days. He's like, bye, Peanut. And he's doing these magic tricks. He's like, I'm doing magic tricks for her. And, like he's throwing up cards. He says bye. And then that song plays by I forget what song, but, you know, Come On, Get Happy song plays. Yeah. But Pim and Hope, who are now, they do talk about the suits and that he's an idea to build this, this machine that they can go in the quantum realm and get her. They just have to find her location. But they have to go on the run too because of what he did because it was their technology. He learns up close up magic. They said this security company up with his friends Lewis and Davis. They're on an honest income. He's got 3 days left and he's like sinking in his house. He's reading a book like The Faults in Our Stars or something like that, and he's crying. And as he's just eating like breakfast, like 5 hours or two, he's just eating some food. This ant passes him out. This wasp does. But then he has a dream of one of Janet's memories. Like up as a child hiding in the wardrobe closet and just seeing her like, what? You know. And he gives Hank a call about it. He's like, Hank, I'm sorry for what's happened with us. And I had this weird thing with Janet going on, like I was your wife. Well, unusual, but played it to him. He notices something this buzzy where he gets knocked out by it. Then he wakes up, finds himself kidnapped by Hope. He's like, don't worry, Scott, they'll take you home. And then it's one of the ants taking over him. And the ants either watching TV or, playing the drums. It's a decoy to avoid suspicion from FBI agent Jimmy Woo, the who's his parole officer. He's like, but we need your help. Scott, I don't want an apology. We just want you to find my mom, okay? You know, it's a quantum tunnel. Okay. But, you know, she takes Scott until, of course, he's wearing his bedtime clothes. And Hank sees him, but Hank's just giving him an angry look, like bitter look, because of what Hank did. Was like, hello, Scott. He's like, look, Hank, I'm sorry. Let's not talk about that, Scott. And they talk about what they need to do. It's like, we need your help. We could go in there and get her, tunnel. And he's like, well, that's ridiculous. This is not very smart at all. I was like, no, Scott, what's not very smart is taking my suit, taking it to fight with the Avengers. He's like, well, Hank, I'm sorry, okay? It just happened. Captain America needed my help. I mean, come on. He's a nice guy. And that's what we call him, Captain America. I just needed his help. But he said, because your actions, me and Hope have been in trouble, and meanwhile, we're trying to get, my wife back. But Pym does set the grudge aside, the anger aside against Scott for now. The only hope of locating Janet is with Scott, who had that vision, and maybe they can get a connection. But Hope arranges to meet a buyer named Sonny Birch, who's like a petty criminal, well, a crooked businessman, if you will. She needs a part from a black market dealer. He's a black market dealer to buy a part for the quantum tunnel. But Birch has realized that the profit can be earned from Pym and Hope's research. That he's gonna put it on the black market for to get a $1 billion for it. And he realized, she also gives him a fake name. We realize that her name is Hope Van Dyne. Is Hope, not Hope Van Dyne. Hope. Hope Pym is her name. Then it's like, okay, Sonny, just give me what I need. That part I need. It's like, nope, we're taking it, not to give my money. So come back later. And she gets into her Wasp suit, which is really cool. And we see her in action, just fighting with these guys. Just fighting. And he's like, and in the van they're watching, and Scott wants to maybe get like a piece of candy or something, or whatever he has in the car. Huh. He's like, I just want one. It's like, nope. He's like, you gave her wings. You had the technology. You didn't have that technology for my suit that you gave me. He's like, I did. Actually, no, I actually did. But doesn't give him the suit. They're watching, and she can shoot like sparks out of it or something like that. It has these blasters. She fights off Birchman like a badass. Fights him in the kitchen. She throws like a salt grain at the guy and hits it with the blaster. And it's stuff that can shrink real big too. As in the first movie, when they can shrink stuff when they shoot at it with a blaster, it can shrink up giantly. And it blocks the guy from running. And she fights these guys and she kicks their ass and she says, "Sonny, nice doing business with you." Mm. But however, she gets by this masked woman known as Ghost, and Ghost gives her pretty much a beating because she can't touch Ghost or anything. That's why they call her Ghost. She can phase, and she fights, and then Scott says she needs help, and then he gives her the Ant-Man suit. It's like he gives her a kick and helps her. And he's like, "Well, hope you taught me that." As talking to the suit, she's like, "Not now, Scott," and they fight her, and they fend her off pretty good, but she disappears. Like, where'd she go? And she's got threatening Hank, threatening to break his neck if she doesn't get the suit. Not the suit, but what Hank did was shrink his business. Not shrink his business, but shrink the building that has the quantum tunnel in it. And so Ghost takes it with this portal lab. Lang says that he can get them help, but eventually they have to agree to meet with the ex-con security consultants. That is Lewis and his friends. They say, Dr. Pam, it's nice to talk to you. Even though we robbed you that one time, yeah, it's nice to talk to you. Yeah, we can help you out. And they locate Bill Foster, Lawrence Fishburne, who that yeah, at the University of California. They agreed to meet with the professor, and apparently him and Hank worked together one time ago in Shield, and he worked with Hank, was a partner of his, but Hank fired him, and they have some issues there. And he's like, oh, and Hank and not Hank, but Bill and Scott get along somehow. How did you come? And I got like 65 feet. Yeah, that was awesome. Like, if you two have comparison, can we discuss what we were discussing? They want to try to locate the lab, but what's funny is when them talking about it, then Bill says, "Well, after Janet was gone, he was like, watch it, Bill." And he's like, "Yeah." After she disappeared, he was like, "You stole my life," But she was like, "Calm down, Hank." I was like, "Yeah, Hank, the way you act." And they get out of there. Since they're on the run, they have to wear sunglasses and stuff and hide in disguise. Then Jimmy Woo gets the lead on family arrivals at the college. Foster then tells them that if they modify the identification units on the regulators, they can maybe locate the lab. Woo tries to meet with Foster, and he's like, "Me and Hank never get along. Haven't talked to him in 30 years." And Lang is able to mention to him. He told Michael Douglas at first, my suit was destroyed, but they know I kept it, which he did. That does have a regulator in it that can help them out. They call Lucius, and they tell them that the regulator's in there that can help them locate the lab that has shrunk that Ghost took. That it's in this trophy that his daughter gave him, that Cassie gave him, that says "World's Greatest Grandma." And when even Cassie sees it, I was like, "Oh, Cassie, makes me want to net for you. Do some netting for you." So they have to go to her school, sneak in there for show and tell. Then Ant-Man wants they break into the school because I watched being like short in school again. But however, Ant-Man's prototype suit glitches. It causes him to change size. They go in this room. He gets like really big, and she has to go into the belt, touch the belt, and shrinks it back down. And he shrinks halfway size again. Not totally small, but halfway big like a midget. It's like if Cap gets to see you now. And he has wear like a little blue sweater. And his teacher's like, "Hey, you have a school pass?" He just stands still and he just runs, which is hilarious. But they're able to get what they need, the regulator from the suit. He's able to get in there and grab it. That it's in the bottom of the trophy. He grabs the suit that he kept, and they get out there. And then Hank and Hank and Hope tease him. He's like, "Oh, did you want your little sippy cup? You want your juicy? Did you read it at school?" He's like, "Aha!" Laughed out. "Oh, you have a juicy cup for real? For real?" That was funny. Uh, Ghost also goes. The actress who plays her I thought was very good in this movie. She goes back to her home. She has to get into the cell. When she takes her mask off, her body like phases. So she's very sick from it. So she has to be in this tunnel, this containment machine that she has to stay in. Yeah. But they arrive in the middle of a forest and they break in. Ant-Man will sneak in. I was like, okay, she can't see us. But eventually she hears them, gets up, and she knocks them out. She punches them both out. And she's like, she was up to be able to store. And I was like, "You're not gonna hurt me." I was like, "Scott, I would hurt you. I could have done that already. Let's wake everybody else up." But then it's also revealed that Fishburne is also helping her, but she tells him her story that her father was Elita Starr, who killed himself. He was working with Hank, but he got fired, of course. He got himself killed, and is why during a quantum experiment they call Star's unstable state. She didn't die, but when the police found her, they couldn't touch her. And eventually, Bill Foster, Lawrence Fishburne's character, who's aiding her, trying to help her get better, so they need his lab for that. that he's been helping her after the accident. They plan to use Janet's quantum energy, believing that this will heal Janet in the quantum realm. Pam refuses to help, and the trio manage to escape by staging a fake heart attack with Pam. Well, he tells them what they're planning to do, get him out of your brain, and do this, and then gets a call from Cassie. The phone call works, but Pam is able to distraction and they're able to fight off Ghost. Without her suit, she barely is enough for a fight, but they do get away. They get back, they get the lab, of course. They take it, they fill the lab back, open it up, get to work in the tunnel, on the quantum tunnel. Eventually, like the spirit or the mind of Janet, Michelle Pfeiffer's character, gets into the mind of Hank, if not Hank, Scott. And she's like, I don't know about time. Hell of the Janet being. It's been a long time since I've seen you. Guys, she gives him the location, holds Hank's hand, and then when Janet goes away, Scott's like, "Well, did we do it? Did we get it done?" It's like, "Why are we holding hands for?" That was funny. But she gives him the location to find her. Security console office. Sonny Burch enters and uses a truth serum, even though they say it's not truth serum, to get information from Lewis and from contact at the FBI. And Ghost just appears, says, "Is this where she's at?" Okay, and she walks away. Those senders haven't heard the location of Lang. Lewis warns Lang that he's convinced to help him find, and this angers them, prompts them to sever ties with him again. Because he's been hiding information from them, and they get mad at him. She's like, "Go, Scott, go to you know." That he has to return home. Since they formed the FBI. I forgot to mention he tells Sonny Broach Walter Gogan's character tells him how they met in prison. When he does that when he says, "I know for this, I know this guy because he's and that's hilarious." But Scott has to put his ass man suit back on and run back home. And then Cassie sees this. His little daughter Cassie sees this. Tells Scott he's vomiting like I never seen worse vomiting badly though. He's like, "So let me up there," and then he's just got his bedtime clothes on. He's like, "It's okay, I'm just throwing up in here." I was like, "Okay." Pam and Hope try to leave to continue what they're doing. They had to find another place to leave, but when they shrink the building, the cops find them, arrest them. It's taken by an informant of a cop who's another informant. Well, for working for Sonny Burch, is going to bring him the lab so that he can sell him a black market for $1 billion. But Joe shows up, she knocks that informant out, or kills the guy, I assume, and steals the lab back again. So like it's a hot potato with the lab, like I said in this movie. Cassie convinces Lane to rescue Hope and Pym. She's like, "We need a partner. You need somebody to watch your back," and hopes to get help. It's a good little conversation there. Yeah. And Scott wants to be a good father, so he knows it's the right thing to help them out, and he does. They're in custody. They're like in a police interrogation room. She's got like a little key in there that can shrink. Then she sees her suit, like, "Put your suit on." He's like, "Hey, what about me?" He's like, "Come on, guys, get ready. We haven't got a lot of time." They sneak out of the police station as Hank is wearing like, a cop FBI jacket, hat, and glasses. And Hope is, as was shrinking and flying. They maybe lose to the player. I like when he said, "What's that?" From that commercial. What's I thought that was funny. They decide to have Pym divide from the quantum realm to get Jenna instead. It's like, well, that's my wife. I'm willing to do it. They would then shrink the lab and take it away from the enemy before they enlarge it. So they, Ant-Man Scott is able to get Ghost to come to him. She does beat him up a little bit, but he calls it distraction up to shrink it. She's like, "No," because I see diversion. Yeah, and Hank is able to get as he talks to the ants using the hearing aid, the hearing device in his ear, communicate with ants. And Bill Foster agrees, like, okay, you go find Janet, then you can help us later. Just go do what you need to do. Yeah. And he enters the quantum realm. And Birch and his men show up, allowing Star to begin the process of taking Janet's energy. Then, this car chase happens with, Lewis saying, that's a cool suit. I like that suit. That's real cool. And she's like, thanks, man. That's what Hope says. But they're driving off. Ant-Man becomes Giant Man in the scene. Yeah. As Wasp is fighting, getting into a fight, in this truck with Ghost. They're fighting. She's able to take the suit. Not the suit, the freaking lab. Then the lab, like I said, hot potato. With a hot potato. But they fall on Birch's SUV. He grabs it from Hope, you know. And, with that truck that he's got to put his arm on and go over, he kicks the side of it. Ha ha, I got it. Well, it doesn't work at first, though. It ends up here at 39. And in some fights, though, when, Hope as Wasp is flying, and she's like, hello, boys. She beats some guys up, kicks some of his men around, and, just like a little kitty toy, that she shoots with a blaster, raises it up, knocks his truck out of the way, car out of the way, and she accidentally hits a car that's actually Stan Lee's car. The late Stan Lee. I really miss him, and I miss his cameo in movies like this. But it's funny, his car strings is like, he's like, well, I had fun in the '60s, but now I'm paying for it. And that's Stan Lee's cameo. And I do like the suits, by the way. Suits are really cool. And they do change the suit though, and which is okay with me. And Ant Man and Ant Man was Mania. When they explore more into that, they do change Wasp's suit, which is fine. You know, Pym is flying down there. Meanwhile, while this chase is going on, and he sees like talking to Hope and then talking to Scott, and then he thinks it's an enemy coming by, but then Janet grabs him. They smile, they start crying, like, I'm sorry, this is my voice, like, it's okay, Hank. And they give each other a hug, and it's a nice reunion. Um, Ant Man, because of course, becomes Giant Man. Like if you saw when he was on next to the ferry, you saw it in the trailer, but he chases him down. He's like but the suit is messing up again, so he has to go. So he tries to get something to answer, but the answer for getting eaten by seagulls is like, come on, seagulls, savages. He's able to fly. He's like, come on, I'm gonna name you. I forget what his name was the damn man. What didn't matter because the ant gets eaten, I think. And he ends up in the water. He ends up I've already seen something. See Giant Man, Walter Gogan's like, no, no, no. He's like, here, and he grabs it. And he's like, getting wet. He's like, from his hand, his big hand is dripping from the water. Yeah. He's like, move out of the way, people, move out of the way. And Scott's like, going back to pass out. And they already get to the lab. But anyway, Scott passes out. Wasp, Hope jumps in there with her suit. Face it, shrinks him down to a size, then shrinks him back to normal size, and says, Scott, you okay? He's like, yeah, I'm okay. And she's like, Scott, you're good. And she gives him a kiss. And like you, Scott. But anyway, she's kissing him. After that, they had to go help their mom, help the mom. Because Ava is attempting to sabotage their return. But when Lang and Hope intervene, she stopped. Ghost is trying to, doesn't care if Janet has to die. So she's trying to get back into the Quantumanium to stop them from coming back. But eventually, Ant-Man and Wasp show up and they fight Ghost. It's a good fight. This time they do give her they kick her ass this time because they work as a team. Even though she nearly succeeds at beating them still, because they break her mask as well by punching it. Uh, but they're coming back on the machine, and it's going to turn big. So Ant-Man goes Giant Man one more time to save Hope, and it works. And Janet sees her and she starts crying. He's like, "I'm glad to see you, Mom." And then her start hugging. He's like, "Jelly bean." I miss you so much. And then Janet says, as Ghost back wakes back up, Hope is about ready to go fight her again, but Janet's like, no, 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 I got this, and touches her and helps Ava out, stabilize her condition. Then Leigh returns home once again in time for Wu, who wants to release him, but they distracted him by hating. She meets Scott like, well, we met briefly, but nice to meet you, Scott. Yeah, but the suit that is built up, eventually the suit, it's the giant man again, but it's not him in the suit. He just runs away in his pajamas. He gets away, and then they see him. He's like, "What are you, 15?" When he sees him on the drums, he's on the drums, and they're like, "Okay, well your 3 days are up," and they take the suit off, the it off. He's like, "But someday I'm gonna get you." He's like, "Well, how are you gonna get me?" "Well, when you break the law." But yeah, see you later. Yeah, but maybe we can go out to eat later. Maybe have dinner. Like, no, that's good. Sometime else. Then he happily reunites with Cassie. I liked it when that was sweet for him to give her a hug. And Hank restores his family home, which he had shrunk and was hiding on the beach for him and Janet. She smiles, and it's just nice to see them back together after them 30 years. And they're still going to help Star. Ava's still going to run with Lone Fish Farm. Bill's like, no, I'm going to help you, Ava. I'm with you to the end. I'm always going to be here to help you. And they give each other a hug. And he's like a father figure to her. That was nice. And they decide they're still going to help Hill Star, help her with her abilities of him and Janet by collecting particles from it. And but they had to send Scott in his Ant Man suit, with the truck, with Louise's truck, that beeps like that, and it works. But he collects the particles and he's like, all right, guys, one, two, three. He's like, guys, and Ant Man Scott is in the quantum realm, and he's stuck there, and you see them, all three of them in the face because of Thanos' snap. The blip happens, leaves Lane trapped in the quantum realm. Then the post credits scene, you have an oversized ant plays the drum in Lane's house while the television proceeds in a state of emergency. And basically, that was a scary-ish ending. Well, also the happy ending where you know, you know, where in the shrink car, Scott, Hope, and Cassie are watching. He was like, you know, and Bugs bugging them on the car. That was a funny ending. But then you get the blip scene where, of course, all three of them go blip because of Thanos' snap. This film was also simply during Avengers Infinity War, and you won't see Scott. You won't see Ant-Man and Wasp until Avengers Endgame. That came out the next year, 2019. But that would not be well, for Ant-Man, it won't be. You won't see them again until another 5 years in the movie's timeline with Thanos' snap. You know, yeah. You won't. Scott will be trapped in there. If you haven't seen Avengers Endgame, spoiler alert, he'll be trapped in there for 5 years. He'll get out eventually, but the snap has already happened. But then the movie ends there with the ant seeing TV, and that was funny. And that's Ant-Man and the Wasp. Next time you won't see the characters won't be until Avengers Endgame. So, yeah. Well, let me give my final opinion on this movie. Why I enjoy the sequel a lot. What I think of it. If I have any issues with it, which I do, but not too many. But Ant-Man and the Wasp, I enjoyed this movie. This is a fun sequel, solid sequel. I think the first movie is still better, but I do think this is just as good as the first movie. It's a solid sequel. I can't pick a least favorite Ant-Man movie. If well, no, none of them. I enjoy all three Ant-Man movies. But I do think the third movie's a bit too long, but we'll get to there when we get to there. But I do think the movie, I know Josh doesn't like the character, but I do think the third movie has the best villain. Kang the Conqueror, I think, is, in my opinion, the best villain. Yeah. Because especially what he does to Scott, making it personal for him. Ghost, her character was about to kidnap Cassie in here, but Bill Foster, on her, he says, I want to help you. And so he's like, there's another way then. But it does have an interesting story. I like that it takes place at the midst of Civil War, that he becomes Ant-Man, the hero once again, and it was awesome most of that we got Wasp again. It is just cool to see these two team up and kick some ass. I wish we got more of it though, but it was plenty of it for me. When they were in the suits, it was badass enough, so I'm not complaining. Ghost I thought was good villainous because Ava, I felt sorry for her mainly because when she was a child, this was just an accident that happened to her. she didn't ask for this. It was just an accident, and she's dying. And in a way, I want to see her save her. I know she's done some bad things in her past, though. When she got her ghost suit, she did some missions and killed some innocent people. But again, maybe her mind was just messed up because of it. Not an excuse for her, but I do feel bad for her. And you want to see her get help. So I don't see what's the point of bringing her in Avengers, Doomsday, or Thunderbolts, whatever the heck you want to call it. I have no interest in seeing that movie. But is that just another Avengers type robot? Probably is. Or Guardians? Yeah, probably not going to work that movie. I hope not. But she's gonna get her powers back, even though they're trying to heal her up. So she still has her powers. I'm confused. Thought Janet completely when she touched her, she tried to heal her. I thought they were getting particle accelerators out of the quantum realm just for maybe an experiment. But okay. But and the daughter, the little girl that plays the daughter, she's good. Evan Lindley, I can't say her name right, as Hope and as Wasp, she's good. I like the suit here. I like her hair too. Her hair is very beautiful. I don't like the way she did her hair in the third movie. It looks just too short. I don't know. I like women with longer hair, but that's just me. When they have short hair and you look like a guy, I'm like, that's just, yeah, a guy needs to have short hair like this. But when a woman does, it's kind of weird for me. I don't know. But that's just me. But again, Paul Rudd does a good job. Michael Douglas, Michelle Pfeiffer was great. Lawrence Fishburne, that just played Ava, the guy who played Lewis, was in here. He was funny. And it's more like a chase action comedy movie because there's a lot happening here with them trying to get her mom back, and then Ghost and Lawrence Fishburne's character, Bill Foster, trying to get the lab to help Ava, and then Sonny Burch. So it's quite a bit happening in the movie, but it doesn't deteriorate from me enjoying it. The story is good though, and I like these two. They fall in love. You know, I thought it was funny when they were escaping from the cops, and they're saying hi to each other, and they're people look like each other like because they're falling for each other. And I says, "Excuse me, can we run out of here for you two to stare at each other before we get shot at by the police?" Hmm? And it's like, or when Scott and Hope have a talk, and Vanessa's like, "Well, if you would have had me, you would have never got caught." He's like, "What about it?" It's how much he likes Hope. He's like, "Can you stop for 5 seconds thinking about my daughter and focus on the mission?" That was funny. See, a lot of the humor still works. Lewis is still funny. Like when he says, "What's up?" That was hilarious. I really missed his character in the third movie. But the villain I thought was good. I could sympathize with her. Sonya Burch's character, Walter Goggins, was good as well. Cast is good. Sorry. I was checking him out. He's okay. Yeah. Anyway, I need to start because it's about his food time anyway. But anyway, what was I saying? Okay, yeah. But that was funny moments. The chasing going on, the chase stuff, the plot is very good. Yeah, it's hot potato with the lab, but it's an interesting story. And I wanted to see her get her mother back because you like these characters. There's humor to the characters. There's funny moments with them, and I like the characters in the film. I like Paul Rudd as Ant Man. He does a great job, in my opinion. Did a fantastic job, in my opinion, as the character. Yeah, it's a very entertaining movie. Uh, Peyton Reed did a great job directing the movie. Even though this movie has like 5 hours, it's fine. I didn't feel like the story was a little place. The movie knows its tone. I like that it's a line of tone because, like I said, with the Avengers Infinity War, there's characters that die, and the ending is very sad when we see some of the heroes die. And we needed an action comedy film like this with a superhero movie. We needed this kind of movie that's lighthearted and has good humor. And the special effects, once again, are amazing. The first one has amazing special effects too. These films have good special effects in them. I know some people don't like CGI, and that's fine. I'll take practical effects, but these films, for the effects, I own them. The other effects in these movies do really good. The cinematography is nice. I like the way the film looks. The music is good. I do like that song that they add in there. Cinematography is nice. The music score is pretty decent, good. And the film goes by at a good pace. It felt short, but that's my problem with Ant-Man 3. It just felt too long. It's like after Avengers Endgame, they wanted to make every movie over 3 hours or over 2 hours long. You don't need to do that, okay? We don't need to make a film 2 hours long. It's dumb to do that. You don't need to do that in a movie. I don't know what it is with why you have to make movies like over 2 hours now. But this film's not over 2 hours long. It's entertaining. It's a fun movie. Now my problems. Walton Gore's character, Sonny Birch, I felt like his character was pointless in the movie. Him and his goons, they were fine. They had their funny moments, but I'm like, Walter Gogan's character, forget the guy's name, Walter Gogan's character, you didn't need him in here. It was just, I would say it's a little bit much. You didn't need him in the movie. He's just a black market dealer here, and you didn't really need him. His character didn't add nothing to the story. He's just here to get the Hank Pym's lab because he wants to make money off it. Like, okay. But one thing where I was like, you don't need to, you did, his character was not needed in this movie. He wasn't terrible. He was good. But I felt like his character wasn't needed in the movie. Him and his goons. It was just, you're adding a little bit too much villains and a little bit too much of story of this going on. Yeah, it wasn't too much going on. It's not like I'm saying he gets a lot of screen time or anything. It's like the films were together, but I'm like, I'd rather just focus on Ava a little more and a little more action. But I get it. I guess you gotta have some bad guy cliche without. It's very cliche. Wants to get to the lab, wants to make billions of dollars. It's cliche in some movies like that. But you gotta have Ant Man and Wasp do some action, right? Because we want to see them in the suits and fighting, kick some ass. We want to see that. You want to see them in their suits, and you want to see Wasp. So I guess you gotta have a reason, which is fine. I just don't think his character was needed in the movie. Yeah. And does the humor always land? No, not in every scene. The humor doesn't land all the time, you know, in the film. But it is entertaining. It's fun to watch all the way through. Like I said, it's about 1 hour and 58 minutes long. It feels like a short movie to be honest. Does it feel like it? I mean, if you would cut Walter Goggins' character out of it, we probably would have run in at what 1 hour and 40 something minutes with it. If you would cut their characters out of the movie, talk about Walter Goggins, character, Sonny Broach, and his characters, yeah. But the film is still entertaining. It was cool to see Giant Man once again. And when you see him in the suits, it's cool. So it's a very entertaining sequel. It's a fun sequel with a still that has a good story to it. And at the end of the day, I want to see Hope with her mother again, and I want to see Hank get his wife back. And the cast is very good. Very entertaining. Definitely one of my favorite of the MCUs. So for the 20th film, still good. And we need to film like this because the ending was depressing for Infinity War, and it's good to just to have a lighthearted film. But then we get the ending with a blip, so that was quite a shock to see in theaters. And then seeing Ant Man trapped in the quantum realm. But like I said, you'll see the characters again in Avengers Endgame, and of course Ant Man lost Quantumanium. So yeah, but it's an entertaining movie. It was cool to see Wasp in action. That we finally got her in action, and yeah, that's all I can say about Ant Man and the Wasp. A good second movie. If I had to pick a favorite Ant Man movie, I'm sorry, I'm going to say the first one. But the first one did have a lame villain. That's the problem I have with the first movie. But the other villains in the next this movie, Ghost was a good villain, and so was especially Kang the Conqueror. In my opinion, one of the best. They're two of the best MCU villains, in my opinion. Even though they have different reasons for being villains, you know, one you can sympathize with, one is just the Conqueror and completely evil. But anyway, my rating for Ant Man and the Wasp, or Ant Man 2 if you want to call it, Ant Man and the Wasp, I'm going to give this film a thumbs up, and my rating for this film is 4 to 5 stars. Definitely just as good as the first one. The first one is still better, but this is good. So I definitely enjoyed Ant Man and the Wasp. Tell me down in the comments down below, what do you think of Ant Man and the Wasp? What is your favorite Ant Man movie, or least favorite? Uh, what did you think of the sequel in your opinion if you've seen it? Tell me in the comments down below, and stay tuned for the next review, guys. What's my sequels where I got 3 more 2018 films to go. Now, I did review Death of Superman. That came out a little later in July. Direct to video was 2018. I think it came out July 24th. This film came out in October, and oh my gosh. Oh boy, here we go again. This stars Tom Hardy. Yes, Sony apparently, even though they got Marvel to work on Spider-Man, they decided to make movies about villains. Starring Tom Hardy, Riz, or whatever the fuck his name is, Michelle Williams, Reed Scott, and starring Tom Hardy in the first film in the trilogy, if you want to call it, because it became a trilogy. That is Vomit. I'm sorry, Venom, Venom. Yeah. So this will be next. Sorry, I just want to check the running time of the movie. It's been 12 minutes. Okay. But yeah, Venom. This will be the next superhero review. Yay! I look so much forward to reviewing this movie. Mm. But you'll see my opinion on this film later. Yeah. But Venom 2018 is next. So Venom is next. So stay tuned for this, guys. By 5:31 if I get time. And my rating for Ant-Man and the Wasp is 4 to 5 stars. Tell me what you're thinking about this movie down below. How would you rank the Ant-Man movies in your opinion as well? And what's your favorite Ant-Man movie? Mine's the first one. Tell me and your least favorite. Tell me in the comments down below. What do you think of this film in your opinion? 4 to 5 stars and a thumbs up for Ant-Man and the Wasp. When we get to the third movie, that won't be until the 2020s era superhero reviews. All right. And so stay tuned for my next review, Venom, which is still a Marvel because the character is a Marvel character, I believe. So yeah, he is Spider-Man. So he is Marvel. So Venom is next. Yay, Sony's first superhero movie starring the villains. You know, oh boy, I haven't seen Craven the Hunter and Madam Web yet, but I can tell I'm not gonna like those either. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Bye bye. Live long and prosper. I was trying to do a Spaceballs movie, but anyway, bye bye. See you later. Thanks for watching. Bye.